All right, well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Cindy Hansen and I'm Orca Network's Education and Advocacy Coordinator. Going to walk through a few Zoom features to start out with in just a moment before we start the webinar. But first, I just want to take a moment to give a shout out to all of our great staff and volunteers, some of whom you will see throughout the day today. Amanda Colbert, our education assistant, is here. She's done an amazing amount of work to help out with this webinar and put it together. Katie Watkins, our Langley Well Center assistant manager, is also here. She's going to be helping make sure things run smoothly throughout the day. So thank you so much, Katie. We also have the rest of our staff here who have helped with the planning of this workshop, in addition to doing their regular Orca Network jobs. So Elisa Lemire Brooks, Gail Swigert, our Whale Sighting Network team, Wendy Signs, our Langley Well Center manager, Cheryl Payne, our operations manager, and Gary Heinrich, who's with our Stranding Network, and of course our fearless leaders, Howard Garrett and Susan Berta, who you will hear from a little bit later. I also can't forget our amazing volunteers who help us be the organization we are. Jill Hine and Bonnie Gretz have done an amazing amount of work for this workshop, and Susan Marie Anderson has also kindly helped us with some of the details. Thank you so much to all of our volunteers and board members and audience today who are part of our Orca Network pod and all of the programs that we do. We couldn't do this without you. So I just want to spend a minute talking about Zoom. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it by now, but in case you aren't, I just wanted to point out a few features. There is a chat box that you can access at the bottom of the screen. You can use that to make comments and chat with each other, send a message to the organizers and panelists if you're having any technical difficulty that you would like us to look into. If you have questions for any of the speakers, please use the Q&A feature, which is also at the bottom of your screen, rather than the chat. There's a lot of people messaging in the chat and we don't want to lose any questions. So please put those in the Q&A. And then we will read the questions from the Q&A to the speakers at the end of each talk. If you want to, when somebody is sharing their screen to do a presentation, if you don't want all of the little boxes off to the side with all of the panelists and speakers, you can minimize that. So if you just go up to the top left corner, there should be a way to minimize that so that you'll be able to see the whole screen. And also just wanted to let all of you know that you are muted and your video's off. So if your dog is barking or your cat is walking across your screen, don't worry, because we won't see or hear it as much as we may want to. We have put a link to today's agenda in the chat. So it should be at the top of the chat, second one down. So you can download that and look at the timing, as well as bios for each of the speakers and links to their website. At the bottom of the agenda, you'll also see a link for the post-workshop happy hour that we hope you will join us at 4 o'clock today. We're going to switch from a webinar to a meeting format for that, so we'll need a new link to join. So again, that's in the agenda, very bottom of the agenda, and we'll put that in the chat a few times today as well. So again, thank you all so much for joining us today. I know there's a lot going on in the world and we really appreciate you taking the time to support our work and to learn from our amazing speakers. So we're going to start the webinar with a short video highlighting the work we do at Orca Network, followed by a welcome from Susan Berta, who wasn't sure if she was going to be able to be here today, so she pre-recorded her message. So you will see those starting in just a moment.
I'm Susan Berta with Orca Network, and Howard Garrett and I and the whole Orca Network team welcome you to Ways of Whales. So, hi, I'm Susan Berta with Orca Network, and Howard Garrett and I and the whole Orca Network team welcome you to Ways of Whales 2021. We're sorry we have to do this virtually this year. We really look forward every year to greeting all of you in person and networking and hugging and catching up. And of course, in these days and times, that is not possible. So bear with us while we do this together in this virtual world. Thankfully, Cindy and our Zoomineers, our wonderful Orca Network team, have become pros at doing Zoom workshops and have done this many times over the past 10 months. So we're really happy for that. And though it's not quite the same, we have found ways to make it work, and just happy to be together in any way we can at this time. So thank you for joining us. Before we begin, there's a few things we'd like to acknowledge. First and foremost, that the lands and waters that we occupy are the homes of the Coast Salish tribes and their ancestors, and have been for many years. And before that, the homes of the orcas and the salmon. So we just ask that that be remembered, and that that respect is held for all who came before us, and for the sacredness of the waters of the Salish Sea and the lands surrounding it. So just remember that also in how we think of and act toward the earth and the sea, and treat it as our mother and as the sacredness that it deserves. We so value our friendships and the many partnerships we have with Northwest tribes and First Nations. And in that spirit, this June for Orca Month, Orca Network is excited to be partnering with the Penn Cove Water Festival on a virtual event focusing on Native culture and the importance of orcas and salmon to all of us. So stay tuned and watch our websites and Facebook pages for more information on this in the coming months. We'd also just like to take a moment to reflect on what our country has been through this past year, and likely for many months to come, and to send strength and love and hope to our struggling communities and the hundreds of thousands of families who have lost loved ones to COVID-19 during these past rough 10 months. We want to continue today with these larger burdens in mind, as well as with the polarity and the struggles and chaos our country is experiencing. We don't want to add to the anger and polarity that is such a part of our daily lives. So we ask for your participation in this webinar to be in the spirit of learning, listening, and cooperation, and ask that people carry on this respect and behavior when posting on social media or dialoguing with each other. We understand there are many differences of opinion about the many complex issues threatening our southern resident orcas, and we don't all agree on everything, and we likely never will. But we do believe that each of us wants to help and do our part to help the southern residents and the other whales, and that's why we're all so passionate. So let's just not let that passion get in the way of respectful dialogue, as that is the only way to save the southern residents and all the whales of the Salish Sea and beyond. We have been so thankful for our growing community of Orca Network people and our extended pod. It's just amazing to us. When we began Orca Network 20 years ago, we had no clue it would grow into such a large and thriving nonprofit, and that we would be reaching out to so many people. So we are just so thankful for that. And it's your inspiration and dedication and your desire to learn more and to help that have kept us going. even in these really rough times. So thank you so much. Virtual hugs. I wish we could all be together, but it's great to be together this way. And the one silver lining of COVID and virtual workshops is that we can have people attend from as far away as Germany. So that doesn't happen in our usual Ways of Wales workshops. We welcome you all here from wherever you may be from, and are happy and thankful that you can join us today. So we also wanted to mention that after the workshop, we are going to have a virtual social gathering, networking time. It won't be the same as toasting and having a beer in a local pub, but it will be being together and being able to share and continue our discussions and friendships and just catching up. So Cindy will share the link to that Zoom virtual party up in the chat. So feel free to join us for that as well. So next we have Howard Garrett. He will be doing an update on Tokitae, Skali Lolita, and what has been happening with her this past year. We know a lot of you joined us for our August 8th 50th commemoration of her capture, and that is on our YouTube channel, as well as the many other Zooms we have done over the past 10 months. So make sure you check those out if you haven't seen them yet. So here is Howard. Thanks again, and hope you have a wonderful day enjoying the workshop.
Well, let's see, am I on? I believe so. Well, first, greetings, everyone. I appreciate you joining in this year's Ways of Wales workshop. We'll be hearing lots of fascinating new information about important issues. And if there are no major attempted coups this morning, it's looking like a great Ways of Wales, and hopefully we'll all end the day a little smarter. I'd like to give a big thanks to Cindy for handling the major logistics for this event, and Amanda and Katie for dealing with big parts of the day. So I'd like to give you a brief update on Lolita, Tokitae Skali, the ceremonial name the Lummi have given her. I don't have any news about plans or logistics to bring her home to the Salish Sea. The Lummi people are leading that effort with help from the Whale Sanctuary Project and the Earth Law Center, who are preparing a case based on NAGPRA, the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. It's a solid case, though it's never before been used to repatriate a living animal. It's based on the historical fact that the Lummi people, or Laktimish as they know themselves, have lived for thousands of years along the shores of northern Washington to the Saanich Peninsula on Vancouver Island, including the San Juan Islands and the Canadian Gulf Islands. They paddled these canoes constantly every day, and no doubt had innumerable encounters with both fish-eating and mammal-eating orcas, and came to know them as family. Skali was kidnapped, stolen from her ancestral waters and family, and needs to be repatriated under the care of the Lummi people. I don't know of any indication that the owners, currently a holding company based in Sweden, are willing to let her return home, but that could change any day given current economic realities. Our role continues to be to show why she needs to come home and that she can be brought home safely. I want to tell you about Rachel Anderson's 3-day visit with Toki, as she calls her. Toki is the name she herself has heard since she was captured in 1970. Rachel is a young woman who for the past 10 years or so has cared deeply about Toki. When she heard this aquarium had reopened in November after 8 months, she traveled from her home in Santa Cruz to Miami, wearing her N95 mask all the way and probably holding her breath to see for herself how Toki was doing. She sent us reports with photos and videos each day, which I combined into the report that you'll find at the link in the chat. And I'll hopefully share that with you now. So this is her report, or the accumulation of all the reports put together. And I want to tell you a little bit about what she told us from her visit with Toki. At first, she saw the harm done. She saw her withdrawal, her lethargy, the apparent sun blisters on her melon, and a new tilt to her dorsal fin. And it broke her heart. But then she saw her immense energy when she did 5 reaches in 20 minutes, and her willful spirit when she ignored the trainers. She saw her agency, to put it in academic terms. She's doing whatever she wants to do. And she saw how she responded to Rachel's affectionate voice and her willingness to engage and play games. Toki showed that she is completely capable of returning to her home waters. Carl Safina wrote a recent bestseller called Becoming Wild: How Animal Cultures Raise Families, Create Beauty, and Achieve Peace. Orcas are described by Rendell and Whitehead in their landmark paper, Culture in Whales and Dolphins, as having cultures with no parallel except in humans. Southern resident orcas raise their young to be lifetime members of their families and their cultures to a degree that we can't easily comprehend. Toki was raised by and will forever be a member of the Southern resident orcas. She has a strong sense of self. She knows who she is. Her cultural identity is secure. It never goes away. It's who she is. She'll know she's home when she returns. Some of you may be tired of hearing me say that, but it's a crucial point. For all you naturalists out there, this is an important point to make for your passengers. It completely changes our estimation of how she'll respond to returning to her home waters. So many established experts in cetology assume Toki is too old or has been in captivity too long. But I don't think they really know her.